Michael. We are live. How are you today?
I am doing great, Martin. Let's have some fun. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hello and welcome to AGTP Daily. We go live every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to discuss the most important kind of tech stuff.
Mhm.
In the US, today is Tuesday. I think I said yesterday was Tuesday, unfortunately, but it's actually today is Tuesday.
Yes.
I got the date right. I said it was the 18th yesterday, so I had that much right. But I actually think I got the day wrong. So forgive me. Today's the 19th of May, 2026, Martin. Let's get right to this stuff, yeah?
Yes, let's go.
So, as always, a lot of stuff going on in the United States. Elon Musk has lost his suit. He was suing Sam Altman and a bunch of other wise guys in Oakland, California, and he's lost that. We'll get to that too, because there's some interesting stuff in there, and I think some interesting implications of it.
Okay.
For people that know what stainless is, Anthropic acquired it. And it's hard to come up with a headline that's like really eye-catching for this, but this is important. And you'll see why when we get there. And everybody knows who Benedict Evans is. He was a former partner at Andreessen Horowitz, and twice a year he puts out an overview of stuff like that. This year, his overview of macro trends is that AI is eating the world. So that sounds interesting to me as well.
Yes.
And also, Martin, you should know, we'll get to this when we get to that story, but he's very, very widely followed. Followed. Like if you're in Silicon Valley and you go, hey, I had lunch today with Benedict Evans, people would just be like, wow. Yeah.
Super. Let's talk about all of this. Sounds like a great show, Michael.
Stop running around, Michael. Let's go. Okay. So let's talk about Elon Musk.
Yes.
He lost his lawsuit, like I said, against Sam Altman. I think it's kind of important. And also Greg Brockman was involved, OpenAI, suing Microsoft too. And the jury unanimously, Martin. I want to get to the details, then we can do some analysis. Yes, so give me a couple of minutes because there's a lot here. The jury in California unanimously found that Musk's claims were filed too late under the applicable statutes of limitations. He had argued that OpenAI's leaders stole a charity.
Yeah.
They stole it by turning a nonprofit AI lab into a commercially driven Microsoft-backed company. The case ultimately failed on timing rather than on the full merits of the case. So the judge was just like, yeah, and he gave it to the jury, and the jury deliberated for like less than 2 hours, which,
Oh, wow.
I don't know how much you know about jury trials, but like sometimes the deliberations can go on for days.
Okay.
And the judge, Yvonne Gonzalez Rogers, accepted this jury verdict and saying there was substantial evidence to support the finding. The legal issue here was pretty narrow. Musk's claims, were rejected because the court just definitively ruled that OpenAI's restructuring was morally or structurally clean. They were rejected because the jury found that Musk knew or should have known about the relevant harms years before he sued. Like years. Like where was he like 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just woke up last week and was like, you turned this into a commercial thing. Where was I when this happened? Anyway, his core accusation was like, hey, doesn't anybody remember that OpenAI was founded as a nonprofit to develop AI for the public benefit? And I do remember Sam Altman, because I remember when he quit his job at Y Combinator, and he was like, I got to do this. Because if I don't do it, no one's going to do it. And we have to make sure that OpenAI is safe.
Yes.
And he alleged that like Microsoft and Brockman and Altman and all those other wise guys diverted that mission towards private commercial gain. And he says, Musk, who's like almost a trillionaire, like literally almost a trillionaire, claimed that he contributed about $38 million and sought massive damages and governance remedies. He wanted to make sure like they couldn't do anything else ever again. And OpenAI was like, you knew about this. And you were in the meetings and even supported the for-profit restructuring long before you filed this suit. And the lawsuit, again, as you and I had talked about when we first talked about this lawsuit, they were saying to him that there was more about like XAI and Grok stink. And you're trying to compete with us and you're just mad that you're losing. Anyway.
In a way, it's weird and fair. Like he knew before, so why didn't he sue before, right? Like
he should have sued when he ran out of that meeting. Whatever that meeting was, we weren't there, but we've heard about this, right? So
he should have done it like much earlier. But on the other hand, it doesn't rule out if they stole the non-profit to build the for-profits, right? So at the end of the day, there is no question answer to me. No?
No, nothing. And look, I told every time we talk about something like this,
Yeah.
where like the person knows what's going on, I just
Mhm.
cannot get that scene from Casablanca out of my head. Anybody who's watching this that's ever seen the movie Casablanca knows exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not going to go through it again. But you have to ask yourself, was this really like, did OpenAI win on principle?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Or was it mostly like a procedural win? And for me, like, I don't really care
Mhm, mhm,
because like the statute of limitations matters. But like, if
mhm.
you punch me in the face and 15 years later, I'm like, there was a crime. It's like, sure, but it was so long ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in this case, I think it was mostly procedural, to be fair.
Yes.
Um, but also the jury accepted this idea, right? That all this stuff happened before the legal deadlines were
Mhm,
violated.
mhm.
But here's the thing.
Tell me.
Because if say again,
Yes, tell me, sorry.
because if Musk had won,
Yeah.
right, they avoided, if you think about it, like what would have happened? They would have forced him to restructure.
Mhm,
We talked about this last week. I was actually worried. I said out loud, like, Sam, if they loses this suit, Sam Altman's going to be gone. Brockman's going to be gone.
mhm,
And
mhm.
he's going to have, what was his thing? He wanted $150 billion or some sick amount of money.
Yeah, like 154 or so, 134 or something like that, right? That's something like
Right.
this, yeah. Mhm,
But also you have to remember that they were, you know, what is it? OpenAI was thinking about going for an IPO. Not
Yes,
next week, but at some point. And if like they have this ruling against them,
doesn't
well, then
happen.
that probably gets in the way. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, right? But like it gets in the pathway
Yes,
of them going for an IPO,
yes, 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 yes. It's not good
right?
publicity for sure.
No, but here's the problem though. It's terrible publicity, and particularly, we did an entire episode a couple of weeks ago, like about how everybody was piling on Sam Altman,
Mhm, mhm,
how people were shooting at his house, and like the Ronan Farrow article, and I forget the New Yorker or whatever it was, I can't remember.
mhm, mhm.
So like people were piling on, and then in this case, remember they had that whole situation where Sam Altman was asked like, "Are you a credible guy?" And he was like, "I don't know, I don't know. Can you define credible? That kind of
Mhm,
thing."
mhm, mhm.
So it did kind of reinforce this idea that the company moved from like this idealism thing,
Yeah.
um, to just making profit.
Yes.
And they also, they also do say that like to build this thing, it's going to take hundreds of billions of dollars and maybe trillions of dollars of resources, which is this thing that Musk was trying to exploit, I think. Right? Like you're just spending a ton of money on this and you were supposed to be like helping humankind, and now you're just building a for-profit business. And he was mad at Microsoft as well, right? Because Microsoft is the biggest kind of external investor, and it's weird, right? Because Musk himself tries to make the point that like he was a big investor, but like $38 million in the context of a company that could be worth $1 trillion, and it's had literally hundreds of billions of dollars invested in it post his investment, doesn't mean much to me.
No, for sure, for sure, for sure, for sure. But also, like the entire thing. I mean, I didn't follow like enough, like what has been going on and how things have been, like what has been said and things like this. But I mean, in a way, it's true, right? It started as a non-profit, and then they turned it into a for-profit, right? Like, I mean, that's a fact, right? Like, they at first it was a non-profit, and then they said, okay, like we are going to make money out of these things.
Right.
And then Musk knew he did nothing until now, where it's true that he launched a for-profit himself, and he doesn't get enough market share, and it
Well, it gets
just
no
doesn't
market
work,
share. Let's be
right?
honest. It gets
He gets
almost zero in the context of everybody else's
exactly,
market share, right?
exactly, and so these are just facts, right? Like these are just facts, and so when you look at that, for sure, it looks like Musk has been waiting and he's not really happy about the situation now, and now he's trying to do something. Maybe we don't know everything, right? Because those guys they have way more information than we do, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The full thing seems a bit like we don't know enough to really have an opinion of like what's going on behind the scene, what was the real motive. Like we can only speculate, I would say, right?
Right.
But it looks like, I mean, it looks like they both have like they both have done the right thing and also the wrong thing on both sides. I would
I'd be
say.
curious to for the people that are watching the episode right now. I'd
Mhm.
be curious to know what you think. But the other thing, Martin, is what's his name? Musk lives a very public life.
Yes, 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 yes.
He's the pettiest MF in the whole world. You know what petty means?
Yes, 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 yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you accidentally like dropped his, if you were sitting next to him at dinner and you accidentally pushed his fork on the floor, he'd hold it against you for the rest of your life,
Yes,
even
yes,
if it
yes,
was
yes, yes.
unintentional. Like he's really, really petty.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost feels like he doesn't have enough to do, even though he's running like 3 or 4 separate companies. He's flying all over the world, but he's just like, you know what? I'm going to sue these guys because I had nothing better to do and I don't have enough money.
Yes, 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 yes.
It just feels kind of weird. And I guess you also want to know, because one of the things he wanted to do was like put governance
Yeah.
rules around like what they were doing. And, you know, this whole idea of like, should frontier AI companies say they want to do things that are good for the public interest when they're also taking private capital at a scale that's really in our lifetimes for sure we've never seen before,
Exactly.
because they've got to fund all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, and apparently OpenAI's own restructuring note said that the nonprofit will retain control while the for-profit LLC transitions into a public benefit corporation. But it's like they have they're gonna have like a much simpler, gonna need a much simpler sort of structure where it's just like everybody who works there just has some stock in the company.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
do they still have a non-profit? Like, do they still have like a
So
non-profit
some companies
structure?
do that. They have a .org thing. I mean, we know we've seen this in come on, what's the name of it?
Yeah, there's WordPress,
WordPress.
there's OpenFlow, there's like a lot of foundations that are I mean linked or that have like, yeah, some ties with a company. But is it the case for OpenAI? I don't think so.
I don't know the answer to that question
Yeah.
off the top of my head, but I do think that that the nonprofit actually still exists.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think so, just based on the stuff that I was reading all day today. But again, where in the case of WordPress, right?
Mhm.
The nonprofit actually is there for a very particular reason. And they didn't turn the nonprofit part into a profit part,
Mhm.
right? They had the nonprofit stays, it remains, it still does
Yes.
its own thing. It's not separate from like the WordPress thing that makes money.
Yes. And it's very different services as well, right?
Very, 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 very.
So the distinction between the two is really, really clear, right?
Well, it's
Like you have
obvious. It's blatantly obvious. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
so yeah, like in the WordPress case, the WordPress code, right? Like the core code that absolutely everybody uses is open source, so
Yep.
anyone can use it freely, modify it, do whatever they want, and this code belongs to the foundation, right? And then
Yep.
on top of that, companies contribute to the foundation, pay money to it, and that helps organize events, pay the maintainers, and do stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So and Automatic, the commercial part of WordPress, first of all, do not build something that compete with WordPress, the foundation, right? The only
No.
thing that they do is they build the ecosystem of hosting, of plugins, like WooCommerce, for example, that comes like to give more value to the WordPress ecosystem, but and plus using the core software that is open source from the foundation. And
Right.
also, a company like Automatic, they contribute a lot of hours, a lot of engineers' hours to the foundation, right? So which means a lot of time that like where the developers from Automatic are paid are actually used to build the open source software for everybody, right?
Right.
Including the company who competes with Automatic, like WP Engine, for example, right?
Yeah.
So Automatic, for example, they have a cloud offering where you can host your WordPress website on their servers. WP Engine does the same thing. They also have a cloud offering. And so they compete on this offer using the same software, WordPress, that belongs to the foundation. So I don't think there's anything like this with OpenAI. Like, I don't think they have anything that belongs to a foundation. Even the open source model, I don't think like the GPT OSS. I don't know if they like did you look that up? Did you find some information?
I'm looking at it now, but
Okay.
just
Okay.
keep
Okay.
going because
Okay.
because what
Perfect.
you're saying is actually making sense and it's really relevant.
Yep. So that's what I really wonder if there's anything like this for OpenAI, like an open source model where people could contribute, where other company. I mean, besides OpenClaw, right? Like we met some OpenClaw maintainer this
Yeah,
weekend,
yeah.
and they were telling us that OpenClaw is actually now a foundation, right? Like since 2 weeks, I think, right? It was like very recent, and we should actually get them on the show to explain what's the situation because I think it's very
We should have
puzzling.
that guy on the show.
Yeah,
He
for
was
a
pretty. He
lot
was
of
interesting.
people, right? And I don't think anyone really knows what's going on, so that would be a good opportunity to explain what's going on with OpenClaw.
Mm, mm,
But yeah, but so OpenClaw follows the same model. Like you have the open source software, let's say, the open source harness for AI, and then you have maintainer who are hired by this foundation. They are paid by donation from enterprises who give money to the foundation. I guess OpenAI is one of the donor.
mm.
We can expect that. And then outside of this official maintainers, you have all the community who can also help push PR request and all of these things, right? And OpenAI, I mean, normally you shouldn't build something that compete with your own foundation, right? It doesn't make much sense, right? Like this is
Mm.
not how the WordPress world is organized. I don't think any other massive open source community has a commercial entity that competes, with
It
them.
was, and it was never the case that the guy who built WordPress was like, I'm just gonna do this as a foundation for the rest of my life, and I'll work at Mickey D's to make. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, it was
it's
always an
no, no,
idea
no.
of a way to make money. And here's the thing, though, Martin. Everybody that uses WordPress,
Mm.
like almost everybody, if you said to them, "What does the nonprofit do versus what does the for-profit thing do?" would probably know.
Yes, 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 yes. It's
It's
pretty clear.
very clear and
Yeah,
very
it's pretty clear.
straightforward.
Yeah,
So the relationship between the two of them is known.
yeah.
Here's what I have.
Tell me.
The OpenAI Foundation
Hmm.
is the nonprofit entity that is supposed to keep OpenAI aligned with its stated mission, ensuring AGI benefits all of humanity. I'm not done.
Okay.
In OpenAI's current structure, the foundation oversees and controls the for-profit OpenAI business, which is not the case, I don't think, for WordPress, is it?
No, 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 no. I don't think. So what did you say? Sorry, it was like a little bit
It
switched.
oversees and controls the for-profit OpenAI business.
Okay, no, 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 no. That's not the case in WordPress. I think the two entities are really separated.
Yeah, but there's nobody from the from the WordPress.org who's going like, okay, guys, we have to have a meeting with like the guys that are making all the money and tell them like we're overseeing them. Like, I don't think that's the
No,
case.
no, 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 no,
So
no.
practically, again, according to my research,
Mhm.
practically the OpenAI Foundation does three things:
Okay,
governance and control. So it's the
okay,
mission layer above OpenAI's commercial business. What are we meant to do? Why are we meant to do it?
okay.
And OpenAI says that it's going to continue to oversee the nonprofit is going to continue to oversee and control the for-profit entity. There's no way this is going to
No,
work.
this is.
Sorry, can I say that out loud?
But it's also like.
It also sounds like silliness to me. Yeah.
Okay, wait.
No.
The OpenAI Foundation, the non-profit parent organization that controls OpenAI, is overseen by a board of directors composed entirely of independent directors and CEO Sam Altman.
Like, exactly. So Sam Altman is the chairman of that. Like, what are we doing?
Exactly. Yeah.
The second thing it's supposed to do, which feels wildly unrelated, is philanthropy and public benefit funding. So it funds nonprofits and public goods products. It's announced a $50 million People First AI fund. You know what I mean? It's like, this sounds really like goofy stuff. Was not the word that I want to use, but it's a family show. And the third thing, nominally, that they're supposed to do is AI resilience and social impact.
Yeah.
So while the guys over there are pillaging, do you know what I mean? Like making as much money as humanly possible, raising $100 billion and stuff like that. These guys are here going over, like, is this like a resilient thing we're doing? And is
Yes,
this
yes, yes,
the
yes,
good
yes.
social impact? And the other guy's like running them over with a tank.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I mean, yeah, I agree. It's no way this is working this way.
Yes, sorry, not sorry,
This
but
is no
that's
way.
not going to work.
This is absolutely no way like they are doing any of that. On the other hand, I was checking as well how it was working for WordPress, and Matt Mullenweg is also
Mhm.
the CEO of Automatic, the commercial entity,
Yep.
and the WordPress He's also doing both. So it's not like it's impossible. Okay.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Like massive big but, I would say.
Massive big
I
butt.
think, I think,
He's doing lots of glute work. But anyway, go ahead.
no, I think,
Not that kind of butt. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
not that kind of but I think Matt has had always the purest intention since day one and has been
Right.
able to gain the trust of the entire community
So,
thanks to that.
right. So
Because,
I was gonna say the same thing. The
yeah,
trust and that he's built up over what the 20
exactly.
something years that he's been building
Yes.
automatic
Yeah,
is essential to the fact that he can be
exactly.
involved in both things.
Exactly. And I think people see that he has been helping the most at the end of the day, the WordPress Foundation. I think like Automated is the first contributor by far, right? Like to it. And so and yeah, and so I think like this level of engagement and
Mm-hmm.
if you want to compare like to another example, like Shopify has been built at the exact same time, and we vowed of like a non-profit model, right?
Yeah.
Today the valuation of Shopify is way larger than the valuation of Automatic. So if Matt wanted to make money, he would have done a full commercial thing, and that's what Shopify did, and it worked way better,
Right.
right, in terms
But
of
again,
making
so
money.
part of the problem here is that the OpenAI has this mission to make sure that, like,
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Ensuring that AGI benefits all of humanity.
yeah, yep,
The Shopify dudes were just like, how can we turn into
exactly.
e-commerce? How can we turn
Yep,
e-commerce into a money engine for us? Like
yep,
there was none of this, fluffy stuff of like, let's try to help people. There's none
yep.
of that. So they didn't need a foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, but so that's why like it's help Matt case because his competitor are way more successful than him when it comes to making money, right?
Right, right, right.
So which means that also like help his character, his per, persona when he says we just want to make the web more accessible, we want to build this between blah 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 blah. He's not the guy who makes the most money, right? His competitor are much more successful in terms of the bottom line. In the case of OpenAI, that's not the case.
Mm.
They are the most successful one, right? Or
Yeah. What are we doing?
at least they want to compete with Anthropic. Like they want to compete. They want to be the
Sure. They want to
biggest.
destroy Anthropic. I
They
mean,
want to destroy.
they wanted to
E-
have this
e-
to be like a gigantic commercial entity.
Exactly, and so which means that doesn't fit, right? Like this is not normally the goal of the non-profit. You shouldn't want to compete at the highest level with the commercial entities, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make
And
any
I
sense.
think that's what Matt has not been doing with the WordPress Foundation. He has not
Right.
tried to compete
We should
with the big guys.
we should get him on the show.
Yeah, it would be super. It would be super, super, super. Where Sam Altman is demonstrably trying to build the largest AI company in the world, right? Which is also not really
Well,
a
and
good
also,
move.
again, not to put too fine a point on this, but if they somehow dragged Matt Mullenweg in front of Congress and said, "Do you consider yourself a credible person?" He would just be like, "What are you talking like? I do what I say what I do. Like this is very straightforward to me. I'm very credible." Whereas Sam Altman was like,
Yeah.
"Can you define credible?"
Yeah, I think Matt is loved by everybody, right? Like every time we talk to people in the WordPress ecosystem, people who
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to
yeah,
work at Automatic, everybody say
yeah.
really, really good thing about him, right?
Mm-mm.
Where that's not really the case for Sam Altman, right? Like there's a lot of people who are really against him. And yeah, I mean, I think it's a completely different outcome for maybe something that started the same way, right? But to,
Agreed.
to today, I think that's a fact. We can say that the OpenAI Foundation is gone, right? Like they are not doing much, I think, right? So,
I mean, they're just
mm,
remember their job is meant to be like governance and control, protect the thing, and do some philanthropy. Like this does not seem that necessary. Let's talk about one more thing, and then let's move on to Anthropic
tell me.
acquiring Stainless, because I think that's also pretty interesting.
Mhm.
We talked earlier in this conversation about, is this good for OpenAI's IPO thing,
Yes, 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 yes.
right? But you have to think, or because of all the information that came out during this trial, does it create some other operational risk or some other reputational risk that would not have come out even if win or lose this trial? I
It's
mean,
true.
obviously, if Musk won, they would have bigger problems, right? But even in losing,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So when you go for an IPO, and remember, think about the founder of Uber.
Hmm.
Didn't they remove that guy before they did the IPO?
Mm.
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. Yeah,
But
probably.
nobody liked him, Travis Kalanick, yeah?
Yes, 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 yes.
Nobody liked that dude. I think less people liked him than liked Sam Altman, right? Because he was just like doing some pretty shady stuff. But anyway, the point is that like he's no longer the CEO. He was pushed out because for a bunch of different reasons. So now you have to ask yourself the question is, what is still going to happen to Brockman and to Sam Altman, whether or not they're on a pathway to an IPO? Because I think definitely it helps them
Mm.
for sure, because there's none of this legal stuff hanging over their head. But reputationally, you still have these two guys who are like, we're going to be like just a foundation over here, and just we're going to look out for the
And
good of
also,
humanity.
and also once again, they didn't rule out that, right? Like didn't say you didn't do it. They said Musk was too late. It's a very, very different thing, right? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
which
yeah, yeah.
means like in the context of an IPO and the public opinion, they did it basically, right? Like they actually turned the non-profit into a for-profit, right?
Right.
So and that hasn't been ruled out. The trial didn't say that they did not do it, right? They actually said, yeah, Musk was too late, right?
Yeah.
And so as well, like from a public image standpoint, once again, it's something really, really bad that's attaching OpenAI.
So I think at the end of the day, the stuff that we do know is you can say for sure that, like, of course, OpenAI, Sam Altman, Brockman, all these guys, they won the lawsuit,
Yeah, yeah,
but they definitely lost the storytelling.
yes, 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 yes.
And if that's the case,
Mhm.
didn't they just hire a team to do storytelling? They lost the narrative here, didn't they? I mean, they completely lost the narrative, and all the
I
stuff that
mean,
came out was pretty negative. So they won the thing procedurally, but like narratively, they clearly lost this.
they lost the narrative month ago, Major. Really, like look at
I know, but they
all
bought a
the
team to like help with narrative. And what are we doing anyway? The point, I don't want to dig into the. It
No, but
makes you and me laugh. Sorry, go ahead.
no, but like, look at all the instances we talked about OpenAI in the last few months. It's always about something else, right? It's always about Sam Altman
You're right, because you're so good at
constantly.
this. It doesn't change the fact that the tech that they're building and the business that they're building is actually pretty darn
He's
good.
amazing. Their product is amazing.
But
It's
no
as
one's talking
good
about it.
as
Everyone's talking
close.
about they're getting sued, or they suck at this, or they're
Exactly.
bad at that, or the narrative's bad, or why did they
Exactly.
pay for this, or all this other kind of stuff.
All
Yeah,
the time, all the time,
all
all
the
the time.
time.
Despite the fact that their tech is amazing, right? Like this is so weird. We are such a weird moment in time right now for OpenAI, where they have an amazing product and no one speak about it at all, right? We only speak about all the craziness that happens to Sam Altman and to the
Right.
rest of the company. So I
Mm.
will say it once again: OpenAI needs to speak about the product. Stop. Like they need to win on the narrative. They need to get out of all of these things. I don't know how that's gonna be really, really hard for them because they look really,
It
really
shouldn't be
deep.
that hard. I'm gonna give some advice, some unsolicited advice to the new comms team.
We have ideas, by the way. We have ideas.
And all those ideas are worth $75 million. But my point here is this, Martin, and that is talk about the product,
Yeah.
talk about the business, talk about that stuff. Divert attention away from what I would consider like big distractions. Because look, I mean, they won the trial, but Elon Musk said he's going to appeal because he's got nothing better to do
Yeah.
than to keep suing OpenAI.
And yes,
But
ton of
go ahead.
money. Yeah, yes, tons of money. Like for him, it's like, it's like simple, right? It's like something he can do in his sleep.
He could have 25 lawyers working on this for the rest of his
Exactly.
life, and he wouldn't even notice it.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like the bill would come and he'd just be like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Is this for candy? Like, I don't,
Exactly. Exactly. With
is this
absolutely
last
no.
night's dinner bill? Like, what are we doing here? Anyway,
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, Martin. I don't think this story's going away though.
No, 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 I don't think so.
There's
No.
way too much momentum behind this. Like, and again, like all joking aside, I do think that there's a communication problem here and a narrative
Huge.
problem here that needs to be fixed immediately. Because
But
the company does great stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
no, but so it looks like they are not in charge, Like it looks like it's all the people who are attacking OpenAI or attacking Sam Altman and all at the same time, right? Like right now, and they constantly go at them. But it's not really things that they start themselves, right? Like this thing is something that they have done years ago, but
Mm.
is resurfacing right now, right? Like all the narrative against Sam Altman, the article in the New Yorker, and all of these things, all
Yep.
people who are talking about OpenAI. It's not a mistake that they are making themselves in terms of communication. It's more like the outside who are attacking them, and yeah, like they let the outside be more noisy than their own communication, right? And this is
But
where they fail, right? Like they really get to change the narrative, they really get to be more noisy, they really get to draw to get back the attention of people, right, on their own communication, on what they want to speak about, on what really matters, instead of letting the other guys talk about them and all the
so,
time,
Martin,
right?
I'm
Mm,
super passionate about this. Look,
mhm.
you and I have been talking about this for years. I do believe, and I still believe this, that every company should be their own media
Yeah,
company. Like, I
yeah,
believe this strongly.
yeah,
But the reason why is because if they had been out there saying, like, no matter what happened,
yeah,
one of the pieces of advice that I would give to them, this is for free, I'll give you this for free, is that no matter what anybody asks you about the lawsuit, about the guns being fired at your house, the answer is always the same thing. We are focused on building the best product
exactly.
in the AI space, regardless of what's happening. And we will refuse to let the noise that's happening out there that we cannot control, no matter what the article is, no matter, we're not going to comment on that. All we're going to say is, here's the release of our newest model. Here's the release of our newest codex. Here's the reason why we made this acquisition. And everything else is just noise. The
Yeah,
tech we have is better than everybody else's. And if it's not better today, it'll be better tomorrow. We're iterating on product, and our products are amazing.
yeah,
Next question. And that should just be constant because, look, one of the things that we've told other people
it's
and
true.
other big companies is this, is that if you're not out there telling your story,
Somebody is gonna tell it for you,
somebody's going to tell it for you, and they're not going to tell a good story about you regardless.
and that's exactly what's happening right
And
now
that's
to
exactly
OpenAI.
what happened here. And they've
Yeah,
lost control. It's not even just that the narrative's bad, it's they've completely lost control of the narrative.
yeah,
And from my perspective, particularly based on what we do,
hmm.
that's the worst thing here. It's not that the narrative's bad. It's just that they've lost control of it. It's so hard for them to jump in the middle and just go, "We have great products. We have a great business. We're growing really fast. We've raised a ton of money. Why are you focused on like somebody shooting at Sam Altman's house and some BS lawsuit from Elon Musk that should have been filed, if it has any relevance at all,
Exactly.
6 years ago?"
Yeah, exactly. Like, why is it just a big deal? Because Elon Musk decided to make it a big deal, right? But for
Right.
OpenAI, they should have had the capacity and the power to refocus the attention on something else, right?
But again, because they
Um,
weren't talking about anything beforehand, and because they're just
yeah.
involved in so much this back and forth, what they really just should have been saying the entire time is, we are focused only on building the best products for our customers.
Yeah. Yes, 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 yes.
What are you guys talking about?
Yeah.
We don't understand.
No, it's true. They really need to change something now. They really
It
need to
lost
change
the
something.
plot.
Yeah, they really need to change something in terms of communication, because once again, they have a great product, so they can do it.
Right. And Martin, again, without saying like the names of, but if you look at the companies that we've dealt with, that was the thing that we told them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep having a positive message about what you're doing, because what you're doing is great. And if anything else bad happens along the way, which it hasn't for some of the other people with whom we've worked, but if it had happened, they would have just, we would have told them, just ignore it. Keep talking about the product. Keep talking about the stuff where you're innovating. Keep talking about the positive things. And the rest of the stuff is going to melt away, particularly like if this lawsuit had happened and all the other news about OpenAI had been super positive, they would have just said, this is a trivial lawsuit being filed by Elon Musk because he's jealous about the fact that we have better products than he have. What's your next question?
Exactly. That was the easy
That's
answer,
it.
right?
That's
It
it.
was so simple. You just need to say that. And because that's a fact. That's just true, right?
It's a
Like,
fact.
it's a fact. Like, he's jealous. He cannot get any market share from us. And instead of saying that, they go inside Elon Musk's craziness, right?
But so you see, this
Yeah.
reminds me of something that happened to I don't even want to say what it is. But here's the answer. What do you know? This is the question, right? To Sam Altman or to the senior management at OpenAI. What do you know about this lawsuit that's being filed against you by Elon Musk? Well, I'll tell you what I know. I know that he has 1.5% market share. We have over 30% market share. What's your next question?
Exactly.
That's it. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah, on all the benchmark we compete with Anthropic. I don't know why they bother me with this type of little model, right? Like that
Yeah.
nobody uses.
Like,
Yeah,
there's a gnat flying around me. I think
yeah,
that gnat is
exactly.
Elon Musk. I'm not sure.
Yeah. And so, and also, like when you show that level of witness, right? Like when you show that everybody can attack you, then okay, sure, people are going to attack you,
Precisely.
right? So this is like a this is a loop basically, right? Like they entered into a situation where they are showing that they are responding to all of these things, which makes the thing itself way bigger than it should be, which give another incentive for people to actually attack you,
Do
right?
more. Yeah, exactly.
Like if the New Yorker article once again got so much traction, it's because it's because it was possible, right? Like it's because somehow OpenAI and Sam Altman let this type of thing get that level of traction, right?
Yeah,
But
again, there's the
mhm,
response to the New Yorker article, which again is like factually true.
mhm,
But if somebody goes to OpenAI or Sam Altman says, "What do you think about this article in the New Yorker?" What do I think about it? I don't think about it at all. All I think about is building better products for my customers. What's your next question?
yeah, that's it. Just
Like, that's
reason.
it. And if they like dig deeper and ask you like more stuff, well, how about this thing and how about that thing? You're like, I don't think you heard what I said.
Yeah, exactly. Just amazing products.
Which part of I'm building better products for my customers didn't you understand?
Exactly. And plus, like we always hear the five people who complain against Sam Altman, right? The same five that were there, when they
Yeah,
co-founded
yeah.
the company together. But we don't hear about the 5,000 who currently work at OpenAI and who are building great products,
Right. And
right?
they're never gonna leave.
And they're probably never going to leave.
Yeah, you make a good
So,
point.
so that's why, like, this whole thing, I think it's really weird, but it just shows that OpenAI isn't in control of the story at all, and people are really trying to take advantage of it,
Yeah,
right?
they've lost complete
And
control.
they have lost complete control, and they need to get back in control, like ASAP,
Mm.
ASAP, definitely.
ASAP Rocky. Okay, let's talk about Anthropic. What do you think? Should we move on to our next topic, Martin?
Yes, a company that controls their narrative way better.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like we're moving from like a thunder and lightning storm
Yeah,
into like a beach vacation.
yes. Like when
You
it
know,
comes
I
to
feel like now we're
Anthropic,
sitting on the beach having a margarita, and having a decent conversation.
yes.
Whereas when we talk about OpenAI, I feel like I'm on a boat in the middle of the ocean in a gigantic wave
Yeah.
storm,
So
right?
look, just read through this word. So I'm just gonna skip the first paragraph, but then they
Just
say,
read it. Read it,
founded
read it,
in
read it.
2022, Stainless has powered the generation of every official Anthropic SDK since the earliest days of our API. Hundreds of companies rely on Stainless to generate SDK, CLIs, MCP, blah blah blah. Basically, they are great. We've been working with them forever. They have built a great product. Now we acquire them. Welcome to the family. The
Right.
last acquisition of OpenAI was, I don't remember the name of the company, but they shut it down in 1 week. They said we acquire it and then we close it. This is completely different communication, right? Like when you
But
just look,
also look at the simplicity of like one of the things I
yeah,
do like about OpenAI. Look at the simplicity of the graphics.
you mean about and Fabric.
Sorry, Anthropic. Look at the simplicity of the graphics, Martin,
Yeah.
in that diagram.
Yes, 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 yes. Yep. In terms of
Sorry.
in terms of communication and marketing, Anthropic is so much better, so much better. But yes, sorry, I just wanted to point that fact out. If you want to tell the story first, so we have the
A little bit.
facts.
No, I think it's important. So Anthropic acquired
Yes.
Stainless. This is a New York developer tool startup. They generate production grade SDKs, so software development kits,
Yeah.
CLIs, command line interfaces, documentation, and MCP servers from API specs. So Stainless is strategically important because its tooling has powered official SDKs for major AI developer platforms, including Anthropic, but also, this is where it gets interesting, Martin,
Hmm.
OpenAI, Cloudflare, Meta, Modern Treasury, Mux, Replicate, and others. They didn't say how much they paid for it, but people are thinking it's around 300 million bucks.
Oh wow. Okay.
So not a lot, but not a little. I mean, it's weird, right? Like if we had done this recording a year ago and I said it was acquired for 300 million bucks, people would be falling out of their chairs.
Hmm.
But when when Anthropic's last funding round was $30 billion,
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the numbers just seem weird. But here's the thing. To me, the most important part about this isn't that they're buying like this dev tool company.
Hmm.
That's cool. And you're right. They do great work. They've done great work. And the way they made the announcement is actually super cool.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is and these are the kinds of acquisitions I think that are super interesting for me, is they're basically going, we love these guys
Hmm.
and they can't work with you anymore.
Hmm. Hmm.
They're removing this like shared infrastructure supplier from the market. Stainless announced that they're going to shut down all of their hosted products, including its SDK generator. They're going to stop new signups, projects, and SDKs. Whatever has been built up until now is going to still stay.
Okay.
But they don't want anybody else to have access to all this stuff because they think that because the connectivity, right, particularly for agentic AI,
Hmm. Hmm. It's super
is
important.
only important if you can reliably connect to like the APIs,
Yeah.
the data, the tools, and the workflows. And that means that now, since everybody was using Stainless,
Yes.
now they're going to have to rebuild all this. Because before they were just like, you know what I mean? They'd go to the Stainless platform if they had a new partner or somebody needed to clean up their APIs or somebody needed to clean up their CLI, their MCP stuff.
Yes.
They just use Stainless to do it. And now Anthropic is going, yeah, you can't do that anymore
Yeah, it makes sense. If
because we own them.
you said they were selling to Meta, to OpenAI, and all of that, yeah, made ton of sense. Huh? You just get them out of the market, you keep the tech for yourself, and then it's great for you. Perfect.
Exactly. And if my memory serves me correctly, and I'm sure it does in this case, Anthropic actually launched and developed the Model Context Protocol,
The MCP.
MCP. Yes, they did this in November of 2024.
Okay.
And it is an open standard, so everybody can still use it. But what Stainless was doing was building like a really, I wouldn't say simple, but a really straightforward and a more automated way to do all this stuff around the APIs and the MCP.
Hmm.
And let's just see.
Yeah, let's see. It's a tech acquisition, right? They buy the tool, they buy the team. They are going to deliver that better into their own ecosystem. But yeah, I mean, it's a strategic acquisition probably in the sense of, as you said, if we want the agent to be useful, they need to be able to connect to the tools, right?
Well,
And
I would make the case, right? So you're right. So it's an acqui-hire at some level, right? Because they get the team,
mhm,
and the team's probably not going to leave,
mhm,
at least not right away. There's probably some earn out, right, to
yeah,
get to that $300 million thing. They got the product that now they're not going to let anybody else use because they're going to do this thing where nobody else is going to get access to it. So that's not good. That's not good for anybody else.
yeah,
Yeah. But the other thing is, and this is actually, I think it's actually a really aggressive move.
okay,
I do. I think it's super aggressive because they didn't have to buy Stainless. They could have just left kind of this open ecosystem for everybody to not just use MCP, but to use it in a way that was like really efficient.
mhm, mhm,
And the same thing for the API stuff. Now, they don't control what the APIs do, but some APIs are wonky, right? And they've built a way to be able to connect to stuff and to fix these APIs and to work with them in a way that nobody else has built. Yeah, because it wasn't necessary, right?
it is absolutely
No, I mean,
necessary.
no. I mean, it wasn't necessary for
Oh,
anybody to build the stuff that Stainless had built because they were essentially selling it to
yeah,
everybody.
yeah. True, true,
So
true.
now they're out there going like, wait a second.
Mhm.
I was just about to sign up for this because I've built this new agentic thing. And now you're telling me I have to build that layer myself.
Yep.
It just creates friction. And that's why I think it's actually really aggressive because OpenAI was using it. Obviously, Anthropic was using it. Microsoft was using it. My guess is that all of the big sort of frontier model providers, and not just in the US, were probably using it. And now they have to rebuild that thing themselves. And sure, they can rebuild it. But this idea of creating friction and taking time.
Mhm, mhm.
Now, maybe what they'll do is, but again, maybe just Codex will just go out and rewrite this thing, but it's still going to take some time.
Yes. No, that's I agree. I agree. Let's see how it goes, but it looks like it's a much closer, like it's an acquisition that is much closer to the actual product of Anthropic, right? Rather than acquiring a finance app, right? Like the last acquisition of
You
OpenAI,
looked it up, didn't you?
right?
You tried to remember what they bought. I
Yeah,
remember this finance app. It's like, Wait a second. Are they a fintech or are they
Yeah,
a model
but
provider? Like,
so,
what are we doing?
but so when we look at this finance app, because last time we didn't have the full information, but
No, no.
they bought the finance app, they closed it. They say, okay, now it's over. There is no new sign up as of today, and you have like a week to get your data out, and then it's finished basically. And then, like I think a week or two ago, so maybe like 2 or 3 weeks after they announced the acquisition, OpenAI said, now you can do your finance in chat GPT.
Right.
So basically, they took out of the market a competitor, let's say, right? But they
Mm-mm.
didn't try to integrate the fintech app into the ChatGPT ecosystem, right? So maybe they had all the tech, maybe they had all the users already, maybe the fintech app was built on top of ChatGPT, and they didn't need to do that. But from a communication standpoint, once again, it's so weird to buy something, shut it down, and then launch something similar 2 weeks after, right?
Well, and
Um,
and also remember, Mark, we did a whole segment a couple of weeks ago on
mhm.
Anthropic did this massive introducing 10 purpose-built AI-powered
Yes,
agents by Claude
yes,
Opus
yes, yes, yes.
4.7, right?
Yep. So that's
Which
for
they
like
built themselves.
ChatGPT that becomes your own financial advisor. Okay, that's like a new extra feature, once again for ChatGPT.
Yep.
But here it looks like Anthropic is acquiring a tech that is much, much, much closer to actually what is going on with the agent ecosystem, right? That's
Right.
something that's going to be used by way more people tomorrow, because that's something that they need absolutely right now to connect the agents to the other softwares, right? So it makes much more sense to me, right? Like once again, in terms of communication, in terms of strategy, yeah, it
Mm-mm-mm.
looks like it makes much more sense than
Right.
acquiring.
And let's just say this, right? So if agentic AI is actually a thing, which I
Mhm.
think it is,
Yeah.
I think you would agree with that. Like these agents are only as useful as the things that they can connect to. Do you know what I mean?
For
And if
sure.
that's the case, well then the stuff that Stainless helps build is the stuff that helps MCP connect to other agents
Yeah.
and then also connect to APIs, fulfilling this thing of just like agents are only as useful as the things that they connect to.
Yeah, so like what we
So
can do
what are we
right
doing?
now is just give stainless to basically all the companies that Anthropic work with. Like every
Right.
time they deploy an engineer, like a forward deployed engineer, right? Like
Yep.
like every
Yep.
time
Yep.
they send an engineer into another
I was just
company,
gonna say the same thing.
ev-
Great point.
every time they have a PE firm that helps them
Yep. Yep. Yep.
deploy Anthropic into
Perfect.
a company, boom, you just give them stainless, you make the world integration so much easier, and that can make the deployment once again faster, right? And once again, it's a really, really good move in terms of customer acquisition, in terms of growth towards the enterprises, which it looks like is really where Anthropic focuses right now, right?
Right.
So, and once again, makes much more sense than buying a finance app, but that's just my point of view.
I want to make another point if you don't mind, because I
Yeah,
think it gets back to one of the things we were talking about at the OpenAI Foundation.
yeah,
Anthropic actually donated MCP to the Linux Foundation's Agentic AI Foundation.
okay,
And part of the reason why is they explicitly were emphasizing this idea of we want to be neutral. We want MCP to be used by everybody,
yeah,
right?
for sure. Please,
How,
everybody use them.
however, by acquiring Stainless, they basically go and shutting it down for everybody else. They're basically just going like, we want everyone to use MCP, but we want to be able to use it better than you do
Yeah, exactly.
and easier than you do. And we want all of our clients, you're right, Martin, 100%,
Yeah,
is that, they built that whole, OpenAI built a thing called Deployment Company, but Anthropic built a similar thing. We talked about
yeah,
it on an
yeah,
episode as well. And
yes,
now all of those people are going to get the immediate benefit of still
yeah,
being able to use Stainless,
yes.
and nobody else is going to get it, at least in the medium term or short term. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So yeah, in terms of sales, it's great for Anthropic for sure, but they have a compute problem. They have a compute problem, and that's really the one thing that makes me think that OpenAI, if they change the narrative, if they play their cards properly, they may be ahead in 6 to 12 months. Just because in terms of compute, they look ahead. They look
Well,
ahead,
that's the
and
thing. Yeah. Again, a
yes.
really good point by you is that they've
Mhm.
been making fun of Anthropic for months now, just
Yes,
going like,
yes.
okay, you guys are great, but at some point you're going to run out of compute capacity because we own all of it.
But it's true. This is a real problem. Like this is, and plus like the move that OpenAI has made in Cerberus, right? The move that they have been making over the last few years into investing into data centers and chips
Mm-mm-mm.
and power and all of this help them today be way more generous in everything that they do, right? That they have better plans. Their model are great and cheaper.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like I think we are going to see the gap increasing if Anthropic isn't able to solve their compute problem as fast as they need, right? Because like, there is no question that Anthropic is winning the customer acquisition race, right? They get like way more momentum when it comes to new clients um, using their product.
Mm.
But if that caused them like that what we discussed last time, which is like the change in the plan that they made, and basically saying bye bye to everybody
Mm.
who are using the monthly subscription, that can be an expensive a very expensive sorry decision, right, in the short
Yeah,
term,
yeah.
first of all, because in terms of communication it's not going to be nice, but also in the mid and long term, right? Like because once you help a small company to get bigger, then they stay with you, and they are basically saying bye bye to all the small companies who use their services, right?
So
So
yeah, I want to make I want to make an even more nuanced point about this stuff
tell
because what
me.
you're saying is all 100% true.
Hmm.
But I believe that companies that what's the right word, that exhibit self-confidence
Hmm.
are going to outperform companies that are afraid.
Hmm.
And let me put that into context for you. By buying stainless,
Hmm.
OpenAI is not saying like Claude is better
Hmm.
than Codex, right? Opus is better than Codex.
Hmm.
What they're saying is we're going to take away your short-term ability to connect
Yes.
because we're not confident enough that if we just leave it out there and if you have it and we have access to it, that we're going to win, that we can beat you
Yeah.
if we both have access to this connectivity tool, which you've already been using and some of your clients have been using as well. Because remember, one team is going through the private equity, the other team is going through the consulting companies. Like we know what this difference is, but by buying it out, they're just going like, maybe we'll be able to beat them by just winning this connectivity thing. But here's the problem, and you've made this, but I want to make it again.
Tell me.
Rebuilding stainless in an era of Opus 4.7 and an era of Codex, I'm not going to say it's trivial, but what do you think can be performed faster, Martin?
Yeah.
Rebuilding the functionality of stainless and making sure that it's really good,
Hmm. Hmm.
or acquiring enough compute to be able to serve all your clients? You're laughing because the question answers itself, but I want to make it
Exactly.
explicitly. Like,
Exactly.
this is what I mean when I say exhibiting self-confidence.
Yeah.
You know, the guys at OpenAI are sitting there going like, oh, shucks. I mean, shucks
Yeah.
is probably not the word they're using, but you understand the point. They're
Hmm.
just going like, oh, what a pain in the butt. We're gonna have to
But
rewrite stainless. And some dude's like, already did it. You
yeah.
know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
somebody, some junior guy decided, what do you mean? We already did it.
Yeah.
And somebody at Anthropic's complaining like, we don't have enough compute.
Yeah.
And the junior guy's going like, can't help you.
Exactly. No, it's true. It's true. It's true. It's true. The compute difference, I think, is going to be increasing, right? It's going to be
Right.
increasing, and this is the real deal. Like this is the real deal. Like if you need to grow, I mean, sorry, no, if you want to grow, you will need compute to be able to serve your clients. Period. Right? And
Yeah.
if you don't have this compute, then you are forced to do the type of decision. I think that's how I read this, that Anthropic has done by saying basically to everyone that use their plans, bye bye, you get to go to OpenAI.
Yeah.
And this is not good. This is not good short term and long term. For us
But
as the client, to be honest, it doesn't
mm-mm.
change much. And I would say it's actually better. Like actually, it's a good news that we're forced to move to OpenAI as a client, because GPT 5.5 is as good as Opus, first of all. But
Yeah.
say to another, OpenAI is way more generous in terms of limits and token that they give you in to the plan, that basically you get way more for your money.
Exactly.
So if you get the same thing and you get much more of it for the same price, at the end of the day, you don't lose. You just waste a little bit of time to do the transition, but that's fine. Nobody's doing today. So that's what I think for the user is actually okay news. But for Anthropic, it's bad. I don't think it's good. So yeah,
It's
confused.
it's literally like
Mm,
being at a pickup basketball game.
mhm.
You know what a pickup game is? Like you go to the park and like there's set 5 guys on one side, 5 guys on the other side, and one guy has the ball.
Yeah.
And the teams are like slightly evenly matched, but the team that didn't bring the ball is actually better. And the guy who brought the ball is like, I'm going home. He's like, but everyone's like, we could just go buy another ball, right?
Mhm, mhm, mhm,
but you can't like rent the court and do it. Like that stuff's harder.
mhm, mhm,
It really feels like in this case, Anthropic is picking up the ball and going home,
mhm, mhm.
and that never wins the game.
Yes, I'm concerned for them, to be honest. I'm concerned
Yeah,
for them just because the compute is the bottleneck here and they need much more of it. And they need to be faster. Like they need to be faster. It's not like the little deal that they did with Colossus that's going to change anything. They need like 10 times Colossus tomorrow, basically, right? So yep, they need much more of that. So yeah, I don't know how Entropy. I mean, I think short term they may be even harder on the little users. I think if people believe that
yeah, for sure, because they can't afford it.
yes, because they can't afford it. So I think if people believe that they can keep their cloud subscription and try to manage, I think this is a wrong calculation because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and you are going to switch to OpenAI at some point. So just change now, basically.
I want
Don't
to I want to say something else that I think
yeah,
is actually slightly controversial, if you don't mind.
tell me,
But I
tell
want to
me.
get this right. Just give me 1 second. We spoke to I want to get this right. Daria Soboleva actually
Yes,
not last week on Sunday.
yes.
And I would ask the funny question of what percent of, I want to get this name right, Cerebrus does Anthropic own? And the answer is 0.
Mm,
But if this is actually a new chip architecture and paradigm,
yeah,
well, OpenAI owns 10% of it or some
yeah,
percentage of it.
yeah, yeah.
So they're going to get first access to like these new paradigm chips, which is actually going to make their compute, if what Cerebrus is building is actually works, and all the evidence points to the fact that it does,
Mhm.
it's gonna let OpenAI actually run even further ahead on the compute
Exactly.
side, and
Exactly.
that's bad.
Yeah, that's why, like, maybe in the short term, like OpenAI, we talk a lot about the lawsuit and all of these things, but in the midterm, like, if all of these like compute question that we have actually
Yeah, yeah.
amplifies, right,
Mm,
which means it gets better for OpenAI and it gets worse for Anthropic,
it's a problem.
it's a problem for Anthropic, right? And because once again, let's not forget that OpenAI still builds amazing models as of now, right? Like we never
Sure.
talked about it, but on the product side, they are really, really good and they are able to compete, right? So it's not like there's nothing happening at OpenAI, right? No, no, no. They have all of these great stuff that are happening, and they also may have much more compute than their competitors, right? So
Exactly.
if they just switch the story a little bit, they get better at acquiring clients and they are able to serve them and they are also
Mhm.
able to be much nicer to the market because they have the computer valuable, they can win. Like they are in a much stronger position. Yep, to me. But let's see.
Let's see. Okay, let's spend a little bit of time on our next topic. How does that sound?
Let's do it.
So Benedict Evans, for I think most people that are actually watching the show or that do watch this show or that are involved in like the tech space in the United States know who Benedict Evans is, but just in case, he is literally like one of the most. I've been following him for years. Like I remember when
Okay.
he left Andreessen Horowitz.
Okay.
So he's a former partner at Andreessen Horowitz. He spent years studying how major platform shifts. This is his thing: mobile, cloud, e-commerce, crypto, and now AI reshape markets, business models, and consumer behavior. And essentially his credibility, I mean, it comes from a bunch of different places, but it essentially comes from his ability to connect technical change
Okay.
with commercial consequences. So he's not just saying like this is a paradigm change and a paradigm shift and a platform shift. He says that and then says, and here's what it means for business.
Okay.
And he's obviously very data driven. He puts stuff in historical context, and he's like anti-hype.
Okay.
And if you saw a picture of him, you'd look at him and go like, There's no hype coming out of this dude. Seriously. Like maybe you can show a picture of Benedict Evans. It's kind of, is that him speaking?
Yes. That's him
Right.
speaking during Super AI in Singapore last year.
Ah, awesome. Anyway, for anybody that's listening to this, and there are a bunch of people listening, like just Google an image of Benedict Evans. You'll see like why he's just like a straight shooting, calm, anti-hype guy. But his newest report, he publishes a report twice a year. His newest report is entitled AI Eats the World.
Mhm.
And the main point of this, and I think it's worth talking about, is that AI is no longer just like who has the best model, like a model capability story.
Yes.
And I think NVIDIA is kind of a perfect example of this. He says it has become a full stack industrial shift.
Yeah.
Okay. Involving massive capital expenditure, which you talk about all the time.
Mhm.
Chips, powers, right? Workflow automation, and a likely migration of value away from models and toward applications, proprietary context, distribution, and operational integration. And I agree with him.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. And can we talk about some of the underlying facts, and then we can do a little
Yes.
bit of analysis if you don't mind. I like to
Yes.
do it this way because I think it makes the most sense.
Let's go.
So just to put all this stuff into context, we've talked about it before, but again, he's going to be way more eloquent than I am, I think, about this. The AI race is now a CapEx race. We know that Amazon's going to spend $200 billion in 2026. Microsoft is going to spend about $190 billion. Alphabet or Google is going to spend around the same. And Meta, which is weird since most people talk about what Meta's going to spend, they increased their CapEx to 125 to 145 billion, but also Mark Zuckerberg, and this is slightly off topic, but not really, explicitly said during a town hall meeting when he said we're cutting 8,000 people, he said we're going to use all that money to invest in our CapEx for AI. So they're getting really aggressive.
Yes.
And that means that the big four alone are in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 billion, Martin,
Oh.
of capital spending if they reach their targets.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the points he's making is that at least in the short term, NVIDIA is going to be one of the biggest beneficiaries because their revenue is up 73% year over year, even in a constrained environment.
Wow.
And their data center revenue of $62.3 billion, which was also up 75%.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The other point he makes explicitly, and I think anybody that can get access to it should read this report, because again, his stuff is just like lucid and clear. Power and grid access, we talk about this a lot, but he's also talking about it, so he's corroborating what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Power and grid access are becoming strategic constraints. Like you would never have thought, like if we hadn't been talking about AI-enabled data centers or data centers for AI, we wouldn't have known that it takes about 2 years to connect a factory or a data center to the grid.
Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it.
2 years. Like, think about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
can't you just plug it in? You know what I mean? Like, there's no plug. You just like, there's a cable, it's a plug. You just put it. Like, why does it take 2 years?
Yeah, no,
Who
it's
knows?
true. Yeah, it's true.
The International Energy Association projects, again, according to Benedict Evans, the global data center electricity consumption to roughly double
Mm-hmm.
by 2030. And 2030 used to sound like it was really far away, but it's like 3.5 years from now. It's not that far away.
Yeah.
And there is still ongoing arguments, right, in the United States and in Japan and in other regions, not so much in Southeast Asia, where these data centers are getting built about who's going to actually pay for the power and who's going to actually build the necessary amount of power to make sure that it can actually be used, right?
But also, I think that all of this projection in terms of power, like, it's if things stays like this, right? Probably.
Go ahead.
And the pace of
Stays,
AI
when you say stays like this, what do you mean?
stays like this with the existing tools that we have and the existing
Sure.
pace of adoption, right?
Yeah.
But we are not. I mean, we are like anytime a breakthrough can happen, a new innovation can happen on the model side, on the chip side, and all of that, and all of a sudden the adoption just accelerates, right? So I think,
So this actually, Martin, because I want to make one point in the context of what you said, because I want to support what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
The cost, and this is important because I want to put this in the context of something called the Jevons paradox. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the cost of intelligence is falling.
mm-hmm. But the
Okay.
use,
And the Jevons paradox is an economic principle stating that technology improvements that increase the efficiency of a resource end up increasing the total consumption of that resource rather than decreasing it.
Exactly.
So as it gets less expensive, more and more people are going to use it. It
Yeah.
increases the efficiency of that resource. And it doesn't mean people are going to stop using less of it, start using less of it, use even more of it, which is going
Yeah.
to exacerbate, as you said. If all things stay the same, then what he's talking about
Yeah.
is true, but things are not going to stay the same.
No, I think we are very unlikely. Look, like the agent AI boom has really happened 6 months ago because Sony 3.5 became good at coding. That's the only
Right.
thing that changed, right? And
Right.
good at coding means that Sony 3.5 can code without reviewing it, and it works. That's it, right? Like that's basically you can say, build me a website, and the website works, and there's nothing to change, right? Of course, you can make improvement, you can change stuff afterwards, but there's nothing
Sure.
to fix. There is no mistake,
No.
right? And just this little tiny change, right? It's just like going from we need to fix the code from the AI to actually we don't need to fix the code from the AI anymore. That's what has triggered the entire agent AI growth, because all of a sudden, if we remove the human in the loop at the reviewing phase, then it means we can just do way more with it. AI, right? We can just let it run 24/7. We can launch 10 agents in parallel, because we just don't need to review anymore, right? And so that's
Right.
why we have seen such a massive growth in token consumption, in AI consumption, just because Sony 3.5 is able to code without any mistake, basically, right?
Exactly.
And so what's the next breakthrough, right? I'm sure like the consumption year over year from May 2025 to May 2026 in terms of AI is massive. Like I'm sure the growth is so huge and way bigger than the growth from 2024 to 2025. And
Hmm.
just because once again we had the breakthrough on the model side, and we could use AI way more, right? So this type of stuff can just happen anytime, right? Like once again, if tomorrow we can fine tune the models and everything changes and changes again, right? Or something else happens, I think all of these figures should just explode and be way larger than what we anticipate.
So the other interesting thing, and this is one of the reasons why I really like him, he's so moderated in the way he makes his points.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the points he makes is that enterprise adoption of AI and agentic AI across the board is real,
Mm-hmm.
but it's uneven.
Okay.
And the reason why is scaling from a pilot to measurable enterprise impact is just still really hard.
Mm,
I'll go back to the example of the bank that I talked about a few weeks ago.
yeah.
They love AI. They want to deploy agentic AI.
Mm-hmm.
But the systems they have internally are not built for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So as much as they want to do it, and I get the whole concept of FDEs, right? And that's going to change this a little bit. But some organizations are not willing to take the risk to change their current procedures that seem to be working, particularly if they're growing,
Yes.
and say, we're going to have to rework everything, fire all these people, and do agentic AI instead. Because at the end of the day, you and I both know
Mm-hmm.
that, like, it's not necessarily, particularly from a token standpoint, it's not necessarily cheaper to hire an agent than it is to hire a guy or a gal to do the same thing. The agent can be more effective, but he's definitely not cheaper.
Yeah, but plus also like there is a real question of like how does it work to actually implement an agent into your company, right? Like that's what we discussed yesterday on the show. It's
Right.
not trivial at all. You need someone
No,
to
no.
know what needs to be done, right? So even if we remove, all the complexity in terms of governance, in terms of data, in terms of NHIs, like even if we say like,
Mm-mm.
okay, all of this is figured out, okay, then what do we actually do with the agent and how do we actually build it? Like you need someone to do it, right? Like
Right,
you
right,
need
right.
someone who know and who has
And what
studied the
if, and what if you're
question.
like Meta? Like, what if you fire that guy and you're like,
Yeah.
oh God,
Exactly.
Lars is the only guy who knows this, and we fired him, and now he's working at Anthropic. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So that's why like you and this type of knowledge are completely new, right? Like and so there's also like a big question of like just knowledge and training from the for the existing team of
Mm-mm.
for all the new teams
Exactly.
and once again, the tech of AI agent is 6 months old, so nobody knows basically, right? Like we are only trying stuff at the moment. Like I consider myself like very knowledgeable. I'm teaching like a lot of stuff, and a
Mm-mm.
lot of things is still an experiment. We are just trying to see like what's the best way to do this thing or to do that thing, right?
Exactly.
Nobody really knows what's the best way to implement that, and we have the capacity to try and to learn, but that's not the case for everybody, and
No.
especially in large enterprises where you have a job to do every day,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like you
So,
just yeah, you just can spend the entire day just learning something new, right? And so that's slow down a lot. I think that's the number one factor that
so
slow down adoption.
here's the other point here's another point, not the other point. Here's another point that he made,
Hmm.
that artificial intelligence or AI is already a platform shift technologically.
It is.
That's a fair thing to say, and I
Yeah.
think nobody would argue with that.
Mhm.
But it's not conclusively a platform shift economically,
Okay.
right? Because if you go back, and I think there's a McKinsey report or some other consulting company went out and did some research, but and again, it's non-conclusive, right? Because we're literally only 6 months into this agentic AI revolution.
Hmm.
So let's be fair; it's a small data set,
Yeah.
right? Um, but no one's making any money off of this.
I would
Well,
say.
that's not fair. In the implementation into big enterprises, the enterprises using agentic AI are not confirming yet, and it's early, that it's helping them make more money or that there's a bottom line impact on this. Again, because the one to one, if you fire the one guy that did this job and have an agent do it, there's no cost benefit
So
because the agent's more expensive and you're not making any more money.
so I think this is going to change fully quickly because
It is if you can implement it really quickly.
no no
But
no
again,
no no
for
no
big enterprise, sorry, go ahead.
no. What I mean is like the fact that large enterprises do not properly see like ROI, I would say, right? And
Yep,
like
yep,
an
yep.
an increase of income. Like maybe they say that today, but they are going to change that very, very quickly because if they implement AI correctly, they should be able to do way more than what they are doing, which at the end of the day should translate into a higher bottom line. Like
So,
like look, like when we speak to the guys at Cursor, they tell us they are beating Cursor with Cursor. Why? Because it makes them
so,
much more
so,
efficient.
but
Same
so, so,
for
so,
same for
I
Anthropic.
agree with you. And
Mhm.
so for Cursor and for a
Mhm.
large media company like Undercover Media, without, why are you laughing? Without,
Large
without
global.
powerhouse, it's a large global
Exactly.
with good opinions and great advice for companies like OpenAI. But the point is that for a company like Cursor, they have no legacy tech there. So
Yes,
when
yes,
they
yes,
want to
yes,
make
yes.
so every time they implement something that's automated,
Mm.
it drops directly to their bottom line because they just become more efficient.
Yeah.
And because they don't have 100,000 employees, they're not
Mhm.
firing people, they're hiring people to build efficiencies into the stuff that they're building. But look at Meta. Meta's going like, and their revenues are growing
Mhm. Mhm.
and their profits are increasing, but they're thinking, we need to implement this stuff at scale and spend $145 billion this year to try
Yeah.
to make ourselves more efficient. And yet they're not going to make any more money this year on this or next year. But again, they don't have as many legacy systems as the Bank of New York,
Yes. No, it's true.
even JP Morgan Chase
Yeah. Yeah. So
or Citigroup.
maybe like the capex is much more expensive. So like the time to profit may be longer. But if they do the proper thing, they should be able to implement
But
AI the proper way
but
and see
again,
the ROI.
for a global media powerhouse like Undercover Media,
Yeah.
implementing new stuff because our tech stack, no matter how old it is very
That's
modern.
just because the CTO is amazing. He's really
Built by you let
forward
me
looking.
finish, but built by some of the smartest people in the business.
Exactly.
It means that if we want to change something and become more efficient,
The tech
we
is
don't lay people off, but we do when people leave. We don't replace them
exactly. It's true.
because it's cheaper for us and more efficient
Yeah.
to build the tech to do it
Yes.
rather than to have that person stay.
Yeah. Yep,
if
yep,
that
yep.
makes sense.
But for a large powerhouse like Anthropic Media, the impact on the bottom line is already real, right? Like so it
Is
took
what?
is already real,
Yeah, completely. That's my point.
is already existent, right? So that's why
Mm-mm-mm.
it took just less than 6 months to see the benefit of agentic AI like directly
Yep,
in terms
yep,
of
yep.
profits. And so that's why I think it's just a matter of time for these companies to okay, do the implementation, make the investment, then see the ROI, but it's just going to be maybe longer, but it will be there. It will be
Oh, it's
there
definitely going to be
because
there.
yeah,
I'm just talking
because
about like today. And
yeah,
look, I was not making fun of, but I was making the point as well that like, the naysayers, the people that are out there
mm,
going, this is never going to work because it's
no,
more expensive. And whether it's a consulting company like McKinsey or just some guy on the street corner saying it's not going to work, they're missing the forest for the trees, right?
for
Because,
sure.
excuse me, because over time,
Mm,
their back end systems are going to get more efficient, but also the technology stacks are going to get modernized regardless of whether there was AI or not AI or agentic AI or not agentic AI. And when that happens, that convergence of all this stuff that's happening in the agentic AI space and the modernization
exactly.
of the rest of their tech stack,
Hmm.
we already talked about this. You know that at Salesforce, they're already in the process of doing this, right? They
Yes.
released Salesforce 360.
Yeah.
And I believe very strongly it's going to help them make way more money.
But also the Slack bot. The Slack bot is a
Same,
huge breakthrough
same,
to me,
same,
right? Like
same, same, same.
because I mean it's just like a better access to the data layer, right? Like it's what we
But
talk
way
all the
better. Not
time.
it's not, you know what I mean? It's not just better,
It's
it's way
no,
better.
no, no. It's like way, 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 way better. But also, like I was thinking about that the other day. It's the same thing that's like the same principle that makes Slackbot so efficient could also be applied to a Gmail bot. Gmail bot, because that's the same thing. Like basically, the idea of Slackbot is that when you are a team and you speak to your team members on Slack, all the information are on Slack. Like like if an AI could just see all your conversation
Yeah, yeah.
inside of your Slack, then you would know exactly what's going on, what each person needs, what each person is doing, and that's what they build basically, right?
Exactly.
They build the integration between all the conversation that happens at
That's what I was gonna
scale
say, the integration, yeah.
into
Yeah,
their
yeah.
company and giving this data to the agent, and so then you can just carry stuff and just have all the context. But I think for a lot of people, the Gmail is doing the same thing. I mean, the Gmail or their mailbox, like for
Yeah, depending on
whatever
whatever
provider.
communication tool. So, but here's the
Yes,
thing.
yeah,
The beauty, and again, this is slightly off topic, but not really. The beauty of the Slack bot is that Slack itself is a what's the right word? It's a connector app.
yes, yeah, yeah,
So it
very true.
connects to Gmail, it
Yeah,
connects to other things, it connects to it could probably even connect to Facebook if that's where you're doing some business. And in that way, it consolidates all of the data around all of the conversations that you're already having. My guess is it probably connects to WhatsApp as well if you're running your business off of WhatsApp. So all of these integrations make it really, really powerful. And
mhm,
then you're right, the access to the data layer that then allows it to consolidate that data and put it into
yeah.
a format that makes it almost instantaneously
Mhm,
useful
mhm. This
is
is
a
really
game
cool.
changer.
This is really cool. That's like a little bit of what I've built with my integration in Gmail, right? Like when I gave access to my agent to my
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Gmail, because I was like, you know what, like everything is into Gmail. So if you need something, just go look there, basically, right? And I could see the power because all of a sudden, like you have a whole new data sets that get
Yep,
accessible, right?
yep.
But now, like what basically Salesforce has done is that they connect my Gmail, your Gmail, and all the mailbox of all the people in the company, and use that as the data layer to know what's going on,
Pretty
basically,
amazing.
right? So this is so cool, and I think WhatsApp could do the same thing, Gmail could do the same thing, Microsoft could do the same thing, Outlook could do the same thing, because once again, for a lot of people, a lot of informations are stored into these places, right?
Exactly.
So this is really, really an interesting use case. But like that's a benefit of AI that can happen like really, really quickly, right? Like that's why I was mentioning that is that when you start implementing Slackbot, like you can see the power of it super quickly. I think like what people can be like, wow, this is crazy cool. That's really really helpful,
Mm-mm.
right? So that's the type of products that can accelerate the adoption and the time to profit, like the time to success, right? For an AI implementation.
Exactly. Okay,
Mhm.
so I don't think we need to go deeper into this. I think we've done a lot of work on this Benedict Evans things, but I mean that presentation is available online,
Yep.
and I
Mm,
highly encourage everybody to go watch it. And to be fair, follow what Benedict Evans does. Like
mm,
the
mm.
dude is really, really good at doing this type of analysis, and I like this idea of he doesn't just take the information and say whenever he sees a platform shift, he also tries to understand what the business and economic shift is going to
Yeah.
be as well in a way that most other people cannot do.
That's very interesting.
Yeah,
Maybe one last thing that we can say,
go for it.
Michael. Look, the four companies that he mentioned, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, and Amazon, who are making like massive, massive, massive investments, right?
Yep, go
Are
ahead.
four companies doing both the model and the infrastructure,
Yeah,
right? That's
yeah,
what we talked about like a week or two ago. These
yep,
are going to be the four major winner, in my
yep.
opinion.
Because if you're not doing both, you're out.
Because and plus that gives you a plan B, right? Like if your model doesn't work, at least you have the infrastructure, right? So you
Right.
can win on both. You have like really two surfaces that can both become really
Mm.
really really big in 5 to 10 years, right? Like if we
Yeah.
look at the adoption of AI at scale, we are going to need models and infrastructures at least, right? Like maybe other stuff, but at least models and infrastructure. And these four companies are operating in both. And so that's
So
why I think it
can
gives
we
them. Mhm.
can we because we know that NVIDIA, and give me just 1 second.
Yeah.
Do we know that sorry. We know that NVIDIA is trying to build a full stack AI services company.
Hmm, hmm.
Again, a couple of months ago, we did a whole segment on this. But that also means they're building their own data centers. They have their own chips
Yes.
because it's NVIDIA. So my
Yes.
question is, can we eliminate the possibility, right? That can we eliminate the possibility that NVIDIA is going to build its own model
I think
or buy one?
if they want to compete at the highest level, they have to be in both. I think you have to be in both. Like the biggest winner in the next 5 to 10 years are the one who can do both. We will win on both the infrastructure and the model, because this is going to be the highest margin businesses, right? And that's the
Mm,
one that are in the highest demand right now.
mm.
So that's why I think it's no surprise to me that we see the guys who invest the most money are the companies who do both, because I think the investors see the same thing, and so then they are able to deploy that level of capital by saying like, okay, if we are successful, the potential win is so huge that allows us to do that. And plus, once again, we have a plan B in case the model doesn't really work. Just the infrastructure itself should be able to return a very nice profits, right? So I
Yeah.
think just this business case makes the investor way more confident into these companies, which makes them able to invest that level of
Yeah.
that level of cash.
I don't disagree with you, but imagine a situation where NVIDIA starts building its own
Yeah,
transformer models or its own
yeah,
frontier models, and
exactly.
because think about this, Martin. The interesting thing about OpenAI not acquiring but investing in and uh, acquiring the supply of Cerberus chips
Yeah,
is that now they can optimize for the Cerberus chips in a way that nobody else can because they're going to have first dibs on getting those chips.
yep,
We've already talked about the compute and data center purchases that OpenAI has already arranged. Plus, they run one of the best models, both from a coding
mm,
standpoint, but also from an LLM standpoint.
mm,
So that's a big win for them because they've now created their own little ecosystem, and they have less of the supply constraints
yes,
potentially.
yes,
So NVIDIA already has the chips. They're already building AI-enabled data centers, at least trying to. And the only thing they're missing here is a model that then runs most efficiently on
on
their
them.
AI chips, but they're already building some models.
Yeah, yeah,
So they could be a dark horse in this race of just like coming out of nowhere and just being, we have the most optimized model because we build the chips.
yeah.
And oh, I'm sorry, but our supply has kind of run out for you, but we seem to be fine. on in this resource constrained world. Oh, you need more chips. We're
Yeah.
very sorry about that, but we bought them all.
Yeah, in case, in case there is a breakthrough in terms of how we use the models, or, just like a change in behavior, right? Like
Yep.
4 years ago when ChatGPT came out, we are using like the big one LLM, right? And now it
Mm-hmm.
looks like the most efficient way is doing this mixture of experts type of models, right?
Yep.
We're not going to take the time to explain what it is right now. We're going to end the show soon. But for those who are listening, do some research of these MOE models
We talked about it a little
and
bit
provide to
yesterday,
us.
right?
Yes,
We
yes,
talked about the a little bit of yesterday,
yes.
but yeah,
And let us know in the comment if you want us to explain more clearly what it is. We can do that tomorrow. But yeah, it looks like people are going into that direction right now, right? Like, so we went
agreed.
through the build model to the mixture of experts, more
Experts, yeah.
targeted models, right? Which, by the way, Anthropic seems to be the only one to not do that yet, right?
Interestingly,
But OpenAI is doing this, and all the Chinese models are doing this as well. So that's why, like, we already did one evolution, right? Like, maybe there's another evolution. Maybe
well,
if
there
there's
is for sure.
like another way, like the V3, let's say, right, of how we build
Mm-hmm.
models. Maybe that's going to be a good opening for NVIDIA to be the best at this V3, right? Because they look behind into the V1 and the V2. So if they want to build a model doing that, Anthropic and OpenAI are still going to be the best. But if there is like a new opening, maybe that's going to be a good opportunity for NVIDIA to actually catch up on this new way.
I just don't think. I
So
think you're right. I don't think you can rule it out. And that was kind of the point that I
mhm.
was trying to make.
Yep. So if they want to compete at the highest level, if they want to be the biggest company in the world in 10 years, I think they have to. They have to be their own model.
Yeah, because otherwise they could get left out as well. Now
Oh,
you're
for sure.
just the supplier of the chips. Like,
Oh,
are
for sure.
you? Is that good enough?
For sure. And plus, like, if Zebras get some market shares, if Huawei is going to get some market share as well
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in a couple of years, right? No, this market is going to be really, really competitive.
Agreed.
So, but a company that can provide both the model and the infrastructure, like Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, and or Amazon, yeah, no, they could win big. They could win massively. Which
Exactly.
maybe we should like precise something. Amazon doesn't build their own model, right? But they invested heavily in both OpenAI and Anthropic.
And Anthropic, yeah. So it's
So
like
so
six of one,
that's
half dozen of
yeah,
another. Yeah,
it's like 46%, I think, of Anthropic is owned by Google and Amazon combined,
right.
right? So
Yeah,
that's why we put them in the category of companies who have their own models,
yeah.
right?
Because
Even though
essentially,
they,
they do, but they don't, kind of
yeah,
thing.
they
They
do and
don't,
they
but they
don't.
do.
And
A better
also,
way to say it. Yeah.
Meta doesn't have the type of usage right now that Anthropic or OpenAI has, but they are investing also a lot of money into their own model, and they have massive
Exactly.
distribution, right? So that's why
Exactly.
they are also stay into this category of potential winner on the model side.
Exactly.
I think we did, Michael.
Okay. That is it. I mean, we could go on, but
Yeah.
let's end here because I think we've given everybody a ton of information today.
Yes.
I've learned a lot. Hopefully, the audience has learned a lot as well. That's it today for AGTP Daily. Thank you again to everybody who joined us and who's watching this later. Give us a thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It definitely helps us out. And follow us on all of our socials on X, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and particularly on X. We love X. Follow us there. Let us know in the comments if there's anything you would like us to discuss or if you have any questions.
Mhm.
Um, happy to answer them. We'll be back again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. My name is Michael Waits. That is Martin Runford. I'm going to say bye for now.
Bye.